Now, you've just blown in from Chicago, and I've often wondered, what do people from Chicago call themselves?
Mr. Mr. Belushi. Chicagoans, I think.
Chicagoans?
Chicagoans, yeah.
It's your kind of town, of course. That's where you were born?
Yeah, I was born in Chicago. Went to school in Chicago. Got drunk in Chicago. Been arrested in Chicago.
What kind of city is it? I only think of Al Capone. What else is there?
Nothing. Al Capone is it. You know, they still have machine guns there. And, no, it's a lovely city. They have a great sports town. They got the Chicago Bears. You know, it's a middle American city, and so it's a working class town, and it's a pretty tough kind of town. Yeah.
And in a fairly bad mood when you left, I think. You were talking about the Bears. The news was not good.
No, it's not. That's why I'm wearing black.
Tell us, Jim.
No, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get upset on the show here. It's
your
Chicago
team
Bears. Yeah, I've been a Bears fan for many years, and this particular year I've been following them. I've been going to each game, and on the sidelines, I get these sideline passes, and we're on the way to the Super Bowl, and we basically got our asses kicked, you know. 49ers, yeah, 49ers beat us.
Sorry I mentioned it, really.
It's going to take me a while to get over it, Michael.
Let's talk about your new movie, also set in Chicago.
Yeah.
You and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Schwarzenegger, yeah, Arnold.
Did he try to get you on a fitness routine?
Well, actually, I was on a fitness routine. I live in Los Angeles now, so, you know, they're pretty fit out there. They eat healthy and run and jog. And I came from Chicago originally, and I was much heavier. And in Los Angeles, I was huge. And so I came into the movie looking pretty good, you know, and Arnold saw me and said, "I thought you were going to be a big slob. You look too good. You have to get fatter," you know. So Arnold would bring little cookies to the trailer and Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and so he basically fattened me up for the movie. But yeah, I was supposed to be a little more disheveled. He's this Russian cop that's very disciplined and looks great in that green suit, you know, and I'm supposed to be a little looser.
Now you're planning, I believe, to play a sort of intellectual super slob, aren't you? Did you know that?
Which part's this?
You are going to play Dylan Thomas.
Oh, well, there's a script that I got written by a Welshman, Jonathan Brett, called Dylan, about the life of Dylan Thomas. And I've always been a fanatic about Dylan Thomas, and it's the first time there's a script, and we're trying to put that together in the States. What
about the accent? I mean, he didn't have a Welsh accent, but he was very British.
Who? Dylan?
Dylan.
Well, he had a wonderful, wonderful voice. That's the one problem I'm worried about. I'm planning to spend some time in Wales to try to pick it up. I'm not great with accents, but...
Well, he was like that to see.
Well, doctor, yes. At the beginning, it's spring, moonless night, and a dumb, you know, that kind of...
That's good.
Well, it's kind of a parody of it.
I think you've got the part. Now, what appealed to you then, apart from being a fan of his? I mean, you go for unusual stuff.
Well, you know, the life of Dylan Thomas is fascinating in many aspects. One is that I feel one of the reasons he died is because of the seduction of America. I mean, he was doing very well here. And he was quite a celebrity in the United States. And being a celebrity in the United States has a lot of, what can I say? There's a lot of danger, because everything is there for you. You know, alcohol, drugs, women, and fame, the ego. It helps you with your self-destructive drive as an actor.
Well, yes, he had that indeed,
yeah.
But there was this self-destructive thread, sadly, has applied itself to your
family.
Yeah,
but I think to what?
Your family, your brother,
yes,
John.
My brother John, sure. There's a parallel there that interests me in the Dylan Thomas story.
And were you ever in danger of following your brother's tragic footsteps?
Well, I think we all have that little piece of self-destructiveness in ourselves. And certain things bring it out more, and I think celebrityism does. And sure, when I started getting a little famous in the United States, I kind of tended toward the indulgences. But I think what's important about doing a Dylan story would be to show that, and hopefully people can learn from that, and if they're on that same creative path, can stop it and live a little longer. You know.
Were you very close to your brother?
Well, he was my brother. Yeah, sure. I hit him. You know, he hit me.
Yeah.
I stole his penny collection, and he hit me again. And you know, we're very close, very physical, kind of close.
Were you a fan?
Total fan. Sure, total fan. He was the funniest.
Now, he was a cult hero, and now, of course, he's become a legend, hasn't he? That's the irony of all these things, that people who destroy themselves become heroes.
Yeah.
And why is that? Why were you nearly doing the same thing?
It was fun, Michael. It's fun.
I never thought of that.
Sure, you know. Women, drugs, and alcohol, are, you know.
Well, who wants drugs? I mean,
No, I don't, you know, I take aspirin, but...
your big break, now, that was in the film The Thief, wasn't it? Was that the perfect part? Did you find it irresistible?
Well, there was a great thing in the script when I met with the director. He said, "Why do you want to do this role?" I said, "Well, I get shot and I get to kiss a couple breasts. It's a scene where I get to kiss my wife's breasts at the ocean, you know."
Both the same woman, I see.
Yeah, yeah, it was. And so it was, you know, it was appealing to me. He thought it was funny, and he cast me. And the big day came, and the waves were very strong that day, so she kept saying, you know, I can't. She was a cheerleader for the Chicago Bears. She said, if they show my breast on screen, they'll fire me. And Michael Mann's going, I want to see her breasts on screen. I said, well, I want to kiss them on screen. So I got her top off, and I was in there. You know? I had both of them there, you know. And it never made the film. I guess I just didn't kiss them quite right. I don't know if it was that or her breast. But...
You both ended up on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, that's all of them.
I think that's how John Gielgud got started as well. Well, you negotiated the steps very well there.
I gave myself a difficult job here.
You're back from America, where you've been living, to the English theatre, playing an American.
Well, I'm doing a premiere of 2 new Arthur Miller plays that have been done in America already, and they're absolutely wonderful, written by, you know, one of the greatest living playwrights that I had the great fortune to meet last week. He came and watched us in rehearsals.
And how is he?
Oh, I mean, I fell in love. He's the most extraordinary man. He's incredibly attractive at the age of 70-odd, isn't he now?
Yeah, about that.
Something like that.
She's over the hill there.
Oh, he is. I mean, I've never found someone of that age actually really attractive before. He is. And he's got this incredible history behind him, you know, that he carries with him with immense humanity and intelligence. He's a really wonderful man.
You're a fan. This seems a fair exchange. There's Jim doing Dylan Thomas and you playing the American part.
I got to talk like this, you know.
Talking about how you...
Talking
like that. If things had been different, I would have been now addressing myself to Elena Mironova from Moscow.
Elena Mironovna, yeah. Well, no, because actually, I mean, I'm half English. My mum's from Ilford, so, you know.
Never mind. It's,
but, yeah, my father was born in Russia, and his father was in the Tsarist army as a colonel, and he was sent over to make an arms deal with the British government. And being a military man, he was very extremely loyal and a little, you know, blinkered. So he really didn't think the Russian Revolution was anything more than a few peasants making, you know, kicking up a fuss like they had been doing for hundreds of years. So he brought his family over, not really escaping the revolution because he didn't think the revolution meant anything, just because the negotiations were taking so long, and basically got cut off. So he went from being an immensely rich aristocrat of a kind in Russia to being a taxi driver, all in about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years.
Jim, what about your roots, which are Albanian, aren't they?
Yes.
Were they... what sort of family was yours?
I really don't know. Albania is this little teeny country between Greece and Yugoslavia. And the only thing I heard about it was if you are in Albania and they invite you in to their house for dinner, you must eat the food or they'll slit your throat.
Albania's, you know, Albania's the only country I don't think that is almost completely closed nowadays,
it is.
Isn't it?
It's totally closed. It's its own communist country.
It's a really weird country.
Very, very dark, strange.
Yeah.
My family came over like in '33,
Good, yeah. But your father, it's interesting, if that is the tradition, that you eat the food or your throat is slit, because your father became a restaurateur.
And I got to slit people's throats.
Helen, your parents, I believe, were atheists, but they sent you to a convent school.
Yes, my father, having come from that kind of background, in the 30s became really a communist, without actually belonging to the Communist Party, but they were atheists, yes. I was sent to a convent school because they wore nice school uniforms and had to wear little hats. They were ladies, you know. Of course, they weren't at all. It was called the House of Harlots by the local.
Is that, well, did you deliberately cultivate your sexuality in your performance because of that background? Were you reacting against it?
No, I think that was just natural. Came naturally.
It's the best way, isn't it? Yeah.
I didn't cultivate it. You know. It's nothing you're aware of. It's something that people lay on you. You can't skitter away from it. You can't resist it. You just have to say, OK, if that's how you see me, that's fine. I'll just be what I am and, you know, do what I do and hope for the best.
You've been living in Hollywood. Has that been a good idea?
Yes, a really good idea, because I'm living with someone I love, so that's great. But it's tough for English people. It's tough for Americans.
It's just a tough town.
It's tough for actors, and it does kill people.
Yeah.
It either kills them physically or it kills them mentally. They go crazy on one way or another.
But is the social life so wild?
Not anymore. I've never been invited to a party there.
Well,
it's
I don't know what it is.
They don't have them anymore, I don't think.
I don't think
they?
so. They have screenings and things.
Yeah.
It can be very lonely there, I think, is what kind of kills you. And also, you're always aware of all the other actors, and they're all working and you're not, and it's very hard, you know. You're very aware of it.
The pendulum swings there, doesn't it? I mean, being so puritanical, which I gather it is now, that seems to me to be as much a fashion as being the other way.
Very much, and I think it did spring out of, like, what happened to Jim's brother, that it actually had a huge effect on the community there. And
it turned it
right round, and people really don't, I mean, it's not like England, you know, you go out for a drink here, but I mean, people don't drink there. If you drink half a glass of wine, you know, they look at you like this, let alone drugs and all that, so all gone, finished.
What about the premieres, the official receptions? Are they fun?
They are, I mean...
They're all tense to me, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're in one, they're probably terrible, but if you're not in one... I mean, I was invited to one for the Empire of the Sun.
Oh, right.
Did you go to that?
No, I didn't. I didn't get the invitation.
They were like stars. Well, I was only there because of the guy I lived with. It wasn't me they're inviting. But it was, you know, really glittering occasion. And it's astounding what they do. You know, you realise that this town is really controlled by the film industry. I mean, in this sense, it was in Westwood, and they closed off the whole of Westwood to traffic. So it's like the equivalent of closing off the whole of Soho to traffic. No cars are allowed in because there's a premiere going on there. And then they put a red carpet. You came out of the cinema, and there was this red carpet going all the way down the middle of the road, round the corner, down the next road, round the next corner. And everyone in the, you know, premiere came out and tripped down the middle of this road, all of us together. I mean, we must have looked ridiculous. There were people standing on the sidewalk, sort of watching us, you know, laughing and pointing. Oh, then there's Sean Connery. And so we all tripped down the middle of this carpet into this marquee that's been set up in a car park or something. And you walk in, and it's just, I mean, you cannot imagine the money that they must have spent on this thing. You know, there are like flower arrangements like the size of, you know, that thing there. I mean, literally huge, great flower arrangements all around of orchids. Oh, all real. I mean, and really expensive, you know, priceless flowers. And then, you know, incredible food and wine and just too much of everything. And then on the tables are all these presents that they give you.
Yeah,
you know,
little gifts.
Little gifts they give you, which I sort of, you know, can I take this? Yes, it's sort of yours. Everyone else was going, you know, ignoring them. It was sort of uncool to take them.
Sounds like your dad's restaurant.
I grabbed one, and I grabbed one for my son, you know.
Well, they had these little cups with Empire of the Sun written on them, little sake cups. I thought they were, nice little things. I sort of, and so everyone was leaving them, so I went round all the tables collecting them. So I had about 20 of these things.
Do you have any extra? With you?
No, because what happened was I had a coat on.
They busted you.
No, I hadn't. For some reason, I thought I was doing something wrong, so I hid them under my coat. So then I'm leaving, and, you know, there's all these autograph hunters outside with cameras and, you know, flashing whoever comes out. It doesn't matter who they are, they don't recognise you. So I walk out, and just as I walk out, in front of all these people, all my little cups slip from under my coat and go smashing on the floor in front of my feet. Go,
and you just ignored him,
God,
right?
That's when you really act, isn't it? These moments like that.
Thank you. John, you look ravishing. It was worth it. I believe you're going to commiserate with Jim about football. Is that right?
Yes, I think he's upset that the Bears lost. I think, in actual fact, that he's really very fortunate that they got as far as they got, because they didn't deserve to beat Philadelphia. Hate to say it, Jim.
Boy, John,
I know it was in the fog. But,
it was in the fog.
It was for both sides as well.
That's true, but I think it did cut Cunningham's long throw, that fog, you know.
Yes, I suppose it would.
Yeah.
God, this is boring, isn't it? Can't we talk about cricket or something reasonable?
That would bore Jim, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm just beginning to get the rules of American football. Or football, as it's called
I
there.
go every week.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Watch the Raiders.
You understand it all?
Yeah, I do now.
The Los Angeles Raiders, is this?
The Raiders, God, they've done really badly.
Yeah.
And the Chicago Big
Embarrassing.
Sox? No, that's something...
No,
That's
that's the other
Chicago
one. That's the-
Bears and Chicago White Sox is a baseball team.
Ah, yes. John, you know... John, in all the roles that you've played, I can't ever remember you playing an ordinary chap.
An ordinary chap. You mean like the Americans would say, a regular guy?
Exactly.
Well, I think I've got sort of near to a regular guy, but, I mean, I have to confess that a lot of the parts I've played are somewhat eccentric, if you take Caligula, Quentin Crisp, and even the Elephant Man can hardly be called the norm, I suppose. But,
It's like the irregular guy. He was...
yes, he was irregular, that's true. Caligula was somewhat disturbed, it's true too. But I don't know, it seems to me that in all major drama is generally not about the regular guy. Certainly classical drama, I don't think you could say that Hamlet was a regular guy, or King Lear was a regular guy, or Macbeth was a particular... Oh, I shouldn't mention that one, should I, really? But,
Well, here, yeah.
spit 3 times and walk around the table.
Can't you mention it anywhere?
You're not supposed to, I don't think, but let's restrict it to the dressing room.
Yes, quite. How far would you go for a role? It seems to me, I suppose you've really gone about as far as one can, but are there any limits?
Well, not really. I was having a conversation once with an American pressman, and he was saying much the same sort of thing, and he said Robert De Niro put on 5 stone in order to play in Raging Bull. And I said, oh, well, that's nothing, really. So I showed him the scar I have from there to there that I had in an operation and said, this is what I did for Alien.
It certainly looked like
And he believed it for 3 or 4 seconds.
Jim, what would you not do? Where do you draw the line?
I don't think I'd have breast implants. I do, you know, what the role calls for. You know, you just kind of do that.
I think putting on weight's a difficult one, though, because it's very difficult. It's easy to put weight on. It's not so easy to knock it off, isn't it?
Say, it's harder to take
I mean,
it off.
particularly facial.
Well, that's what I mean, is like De Niro gets all this credit for putting on 40 pounds. That's the easy part, you know. I
Yeah,
have to
sure.
take
He
off.
just went to Italy and had a lot of spaghetti. It's fine.
Yeah.
But knocking it off can't have been that
Knocking it
easy.
off is very tough.
Helen, you're an adventurous actress. There are other times you say, no, I will not do that. What would that be?
It's not really doing things, it's more saying things. There's certain things I don't want to say. There was a scene in The Long Good Friday that I would not do. And it was a scene where I was supposed to be laying out the clothes for Bob Hoskins. And I thought it was demeaning. I wouldn't do it.
As the
that's sort of
character
thing I
would not
won't
do that.
But, you know, I'll do kind of all other kinds of stuff. But it's those sort of things, you know, there are certain lines I won't say.
You've got to tell us what the line was.
Some I can't remember now, you know, there are always lines which I think, well, You know, I mean, basically lines or things,
Yeah.
I don't want women to be seen like that, you know, it's that sort of thing. But I don't mean it's like not saying swear words or things like that.
And you would never take your clothes off for a chat show?
Um...
Oh, good, I thought my luck had changed.
At the drop of a hat, you think.
John, you've done a very daft film in Venice recently.
Another one, yeah.
Please tell us.
Well, it just landed on my desk. It's Romeo and Juliet made with cats. Not that strange. I mean, the voices of Romeo and Juliet are voiceovers, and Armando Acosta, who is the director and whose idea it was in the first place, has spent a lot of time photographing cats and a great deal of time in order to do what he wants them to do. And he needed a cat lady who lives on a barge, who collects the cats of Venice together and takes them to the new world where the story begins.
A cat lady?
A cat lady, yes. A bag lady, in fact, who has a little barge.
Which is you?
And I did ask, yes, it is me, and I'm the only human being in it.
You're playing a bag lady?
A bag lady, yes.
A voiceover, or...?
No, that's not a voice. I don't say anything, except a lot.
Did you appear as a bag lady?
I do appear as a bag
I
lady.
haven't got any photos of you in your costume.
They
haven't
printed
done it
one
yet.
in Newsweek, I think, yes.
Why you?
I asked the question several times and never received any satisfactory answer. Mind you, when I discovered that Juliet was being played by a neutered Tom, I thought that this was obviously par for the course.
You have in your time been advised against roles, advice which, of course, you didn't take. For example, The Naked Civil Servant. And also for you, this most recent film, which isn't even finished in production yet, of Scandal. Mm-hmm. And you were advised not to do this, were you?
Well, there was, from certain quarters, there was anxiety, I think, about the film of Scandal, insofar as I think they felt that, which involves the whole Profumo affair and Stephen Ward in particular, actually, and the relationship between him and Christine Keeler. And from certain areas, there was a lot of worry, I think, insofar as they thought we were going to make a salacious film. It deals with a certain amount of salacious material, but it is not a salacious film. And in fact, if anything, it's a vindication of Stephen Ward's name.
Did you meet any of the people involved? Not Ward, of course, because he's dead.
No.
Any of the others?
I met Christine Keeler briefly on the set, and I must say that people have been unkind enough to say that perhaps she hasn't worn that well. I really rather disagree. I think she has a very considerable presence. A lot going on underneath.
Persuasive devil.
Had a way, didn't he?
Yes. She was blonde there, of course, as I imagine she must have been as a very young girl.
That's right, yes. Well, she peroxided it.
Yes.
And he got all that. He got rid of all that. Got the natural look.
Will the Americans understand this story, do you think? They know about it?
Oh, yes, I think they'll understand it. They not necessarily will know about it. Certainly the older generation of Americans will know about it, that are more versed in what goes on internationally. But
do you, Jim, know
it does
about...
cut down the audience slightly, doesn't it?
Do you know about the Profumo scandal?
I understand what was going on there. I kind of wanted to see a little bit more. How long did it take you to put on the glasses?
4.5 hours.
Do you know about the Profumo scandal?
No.
It was the year that Kennedy was killed. It was 63, wasn't it? So
That's right,
quite
yes.
a while ago.
Yeah.
Interesting about Scandal. Now, I mean, the Europeans, the French, for example, think it crazy that a politician's career should founder on having an affair. And what about America? Is much closer to England on this, isn't
I was
it?
actually in Paris at the time when it did actually happen. There was a headline in one of the Paris newspapers, I can't remember which one it was, it said, "English minister dismissed for having mistress." And the sub-headline was, "In this country, be dismissed for not having one."
It's very weird. In the United States, Gary Hart was just like gone, you know.
They're more puritanical, I think.
Yes,
in
but what would have
America.
happened to JFK in that case if
JFK had quite
if the same kind of scrutiny had been observed?
They
in
all
those days?
knew about it, apparently. They just know.
Yes, but in those days they said, "Well, we can't print that. He's famous."
Yeah. Right.
Now they say he's famous. What can we get on him?
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of sad.
What about the American press now? The British press has an overwhelming interest in the private lives of famous people, doesn't it? Is American press quite so fanatical about it?
I think so. I don't read those magazines, so I don't really know those kind of gossipy magazines.
Ah, the daily press I'm talking about here.
Yeah, I guess so. They're always interested in, like, Madonna and Sean Penn, and, you know, I guess so.
Well, someone's got to be. Well... May I ask about your family reaction, John, to these extraordinary parts you've played? What has it been?
Oh, I don't think it surprises them in the least. No.
But your father is a practicing minister, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he's a practicing minister. He's 84 years old. Hello, Dad, as it were. Living in Scotland. And, no, I think they were used to my kind of outrageousness from an early age. Anyway.
Well, you're a wild lad, then.
I always enjoyed the outrageous. If I could get somebody going, I enjoyed... yes, I'm well acquainted with a wooden spoon.
As a weapon, you mean?
In its own way.
Yes, yes. And Helen, what was your family reaction to what you've done in your working life?
Incredible patience and pride in certain areas. I mean, my parents would just go to stand outside the Aldwych to see the audience going in to see me. They just watched the audience going in, thinking, oh, they're going to see my daughter, which was very touching for me. And then, you know, my mother sometimes has a lot of some things to deal with in the bridge club occasionally, and she deals with them, you know, really very, very well. She's they get used to it after a time, don't they?
Well, my father always pretends that he doesn't care at all. But I know he does from what other people say. So.
Doesn't bring you into his sermons at all?
No, I don't think so. No. God, I hope not.
I haven't asked you what your family reaction has been to your work.
They really don't pay that much attention. They never did. They said you can do whatever you want, just don't be a bum. But now my dad has a little trouble with the language I use in film. He says, why do you have to swear so much, Jim, you know? I said, well, that's part of the character, you know. So he gets a little upset about that, but... I can't say that, so... He's all right. He's okay about it. I send him a check, it shuts him up.
When I saw Wall Street, that language was going out in American films, maybe.
Well, I think so.
Because they kept saying frigging this and frigging that, and that sounded sort of very peculiar.
You saw the television version, I expect.
No. I saw... actually, I saw it on an airplane. So that's the...
Yeah, so it's the airplane version.
Is it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, that's new to me.
Kids
I didn't know that.
Have you had to go into a dubbing theatre and say, frig, 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 and all that?
No, I don't think I ever have. No,
I have.
But then I know...
Really?
Oh, that's I spend more time dubbing for television. I did a movie called About Last Night, which was written... The play was written by David Mamet, and, you know, it's all language. But it's the poetry of that language. It's the character of the street. But I was in there for 2 days, and it's a different movie when you take that language.
Oh, it must be.
Oh,
do you mean to say in the Wall Street then, in fact, was Teleword, was it?
Yes, I'm sorry, John.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought maybe there was a change. It didn't actually make much difference, I didn't think.
I've talked about you possibly offending your relations. What offends you deeply, profoundly?
When something is disguised as honest when it is blatantly dishonest.
I'm always taken in. I always believe what they say.
Well, often
I mean, I never see through to the dishonesty underneath. I hate hypocrisy. You know, I hate hypocrisy. It's the same thing, I suppose. And I really hate racism.
Jim, we're moving down the line.
Well, you know, magazines, those little subscription things that are in the magazines. I hate those things.
And I hate to say this, but it's time to say goodnight. John Hurt, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
And Helen Mirren. And Jim Belushi.